Hello my friends, I'm really excited to welcome you to an updated version of one of my most popular videos that I did several years ago about first trimester fitness. I first want to take you through a routine that's about probably 15 minutes or so on the floor, and then we'll stand up, and if you have the energy, we'll do some walking. We'll do some indoor walking, and I'll just share some tips and insights about prenatal fitness. So this is for the first trimester. I will be creating another video for the second and third trimester, but this one right here, you don't need any equipment at all. And like I said, we're gonna start on the floor. Just a nice grounded, simple routine that's gonna stretch and strengthen your body. I know that in the first trimester, there's often a lot of fatigue. There may even be some morning sickness going on, so you just might not be up for much craziness. So we're gonna keep it pretty gentle, pretty simple, and let's get right into it. Go ahead and begin on your hands and knees. And I'm actually going to bring my shirt up just so you can see the first thing that we are doing with the belly. So this move right here, you can have your hands in fists if it's too much to have your hands down on the ground. Now, in pregnancy, I know our joints, they swell. It's been 12 years since I had my baby, but I definitely remember the swelling. The wrists can swell a bit. There can just be some discomfort. So having your hands in fists can be really helpful. Now, in this position, I want you to feel like we are gently activating the core. Think about lifting your baby up and away from the ground. So we're gonna call this a baby lift. It's like we're cradling our baby without tucking your tail under. So I want you to keep your back flat like a tabletop. Inhale into your chest, and then exhale, lift baby up away from the floor. It's like you're hugging baby into your body, and then release. Again, lift baby away from the ground, hug it up toward your body, toward your spine, and then release. Baby is still very small in the first trimester, but it's still a nice imagery to think of hugging baby up toward your body, holding it, and then releasing. Go ahead and do one more. So go ahead and do it again. I'm just gonna tell you that core strengthening in pregnancy is interesting. So keep going, do one or two more baby lifts. Core strengthening in pregnancy is interesting. We want our core muscles to be strong and coordinated, but we also want to focus just as much on relaxing and letting go of the pelvic floor and the deep abdominals because they need to let go in pregnancy. So we're strengthening, but we're also releasing. So from this position, if you need to sit back on your heels and roll out your wrists, you can. We're going to move next into a bird dog. So roll out your wrists if you need to, and then come right back onto your fists or flat hands. Now, just like we did with that baby lift, I want you to lift baby toward your spine, keeping your back flat. This time, hold it. So hold that nice engaged core and lift your right arm off the ground and your left leg. So opposite arm and leg. If that's too much, if you find yourself with your balance being off already, that's okay. Just lift your leg and down. Move into the other side, switching sides and down. Keep going. Try not to let your back arch. We want to keep everything flat, like you're reaching the arm and leg apart and down. This is a really great stretch and strengthener because remember, the whole time you're keeping your belly pulled up and lifted away from the floor. Breathe steadily, and let's just do one more on each side. Last time here, breathing steadily, never hold your breath, and come on down. Cross your feet and roll down through your side. We're gonna go into a bridge. So go down through your side and working on strengthening the back side of the body and opening up the chest. So shoulders nice and open. I want you to roll up, lift your bum. Now we don't want to spend too much time flat on our back, especially later in pregnancy, but right now this position should be just fine. Make sure you have space to breathe right here in your neck and come on down. This time lift up and stay. Keep the feet right under your knees, hold it, and pulse. Really feel those glutes active. And if you want to work on opening your chest a little bit more, maybe you can clasp your hands underneath your bottom and really pulse up. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release your hands, come on down and roll onto your side for a side plank. From our elbow and our knees. Knees are bent and a little bit in front of you, but not too much. Elbow is right under your shoulder. Go ahead and lift your pelvic floor, pull in your low abs and come on up into this nice side plank. You should feel it in your side waist. Also just nice and drawn in all the way around. Come all the way down and then lift up again. Let's do 5. So we got about 3 more full pulses. 2 more. Breathe with this. And last one. This time come down, but then lift up and hold it. Now little pulses up, tiny, lifting, lifting. You should really feel that deep. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. Carefully switch to the other side. So never do anything too crazy. When you are early in your first trimester, your body is getting accustomed to all the physiological changes as far as the change in blood volume, and blood vessels are expanding, and so it can make you feel a little bit lightheaded when you change position because your blood volume is slowly increasing, but maybe it hasn't caught up yet. Your vessels have expanded, but the blood volume hasn't caught up yet to where it needs to be, and it can make you feel a little bit lightheaded when you change positions. So go slow, take your time. Now you're in the other side, hopefully not too lightheaded, and your elbow is directly under your shoulder. Your knees are slightly bent. Lift your pelvic floor, pull in your low abs, and come all the way up and all the way down. Lift all the way up and all the way down. Just 3 more. 3, keep breathing. 2 more. Always exhaling on exertion. Last one. And down. This time lift up and stay up. And tiny little pulses. 8, 7, 6, feeling it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice job. We lower down. Whew, very good. All right, coming on to our knees, we're gonna do a forearm plank. So again, changing positions slowly. You might feel a little bit lightheaded. If you're ever dizzy, that's a sign to stop. But a little bit of lightheadedness as you change and transition positions is normal. It's just that you need to go slow. So elbows directly under your shoulders. You should be fine to be like this for now. But if it's uncomfortable, then just skip this and lay on your side and watch. But if you're okay, I'd like for your forearms to be parallel and your knees to stay on the ground. You're gonna lift your pelvic floor, pull in your low abs, and come up into a forearm plank. Now hold it nice and strong through the belly, lifted. And if you want more, you can tuck your toes and you can come up into a regular full forearm plank. Try to make sure that your bum isn't dragging down low, but it's also not all the way up here. You want to be straight like a board. Belly is lifted toward your spine. Again, being on your knees is just fine. Hold it there for about 2 more seconds, last second, and come on down for just a moment. Okay, let it go. Again, first trimester, you should be okay still lying on your belly, but if this is not comfortable for you, just lie on your side right now. All right, full plank. This is the final blast. Come up, hands are going to be under your shoulders. And if this is ever too much, you can modify by placing your hands up on a very sturdy bench that's propped up against a wall, or a chair that's propped up against a wall, so you're not actually on the ground with your hands, they're elevated. So in this position, lift your pelvic floor, pull in your low abs, and hold that plank. Body is straight like a plank. If you want more, mountain climber. Elbow, or I should say knee to your elbow. Super strong, keep breathing. Let's do 3, 2, 1, and nice job. Knees down, widen the knees apart, sit back onto your heels into a wide-kneed child's pose. This just allows room for baby, room for your belly, and just breathe deeply. All right, one more nice deep breath in this child's pose. And then very carefully bring your hands up, your knees come together, and you're gonna stretch out the bottoms of your feet. So tuck your toes under and sit on your heels for just a moment, preparing ourselves for the deep squat stretch, Malasana. Deep squat stretch is a wonderful way to strengthen your pelvic floor and your hips, and also to stretch and open them too. So just holding this nice bottom of the foot and ankle stretch, roll out your shoulders, and then when you're ready, come forward onto your hands, widen your feet just a little bit, and rock into a Malasana, a deep squat. Now, you can always have a rolled up yoga mat under your feet if your heels don't touch the ground. You can also sit on a stool or yoga block or something like that if you can't get this low. But I want you to try to be in this deep squat position with your knees and toes pointed out just a little bit, and you're long and lifted through the spine. Your heart is lifted too. In this position, try to do a couple of kegel exercises. So you're squeezing and lifting the openings of the pelvic floor. So around the urethra, the vagina, and the anus. Squeezing and lifting, and then fully releasing. Do it a couple more times. Go ahead and squeeze and lift, and then full release. One more, squeeze and lift, and then fully and completely release. Like I said, in pregnancy, we really need to focus on the contractions and the strengthening, but also the release. So now step one foot in front and the other leg back, and we're just gonna move into a lunge. So a hip flexor stretch right here, stretching out that front of your hip. Your hands can be down on the floor, or both hands can even be on the inside of one leg. That's totally fine. You can have something for support. And if you want to, you can come up onto your thigh. But in pregnancy, sometimes we lose our balance pretty easily. So even early in pregnancy, that can happen. So just do what feels really stable and good for you, and that feels like it's stretching the front of that hip flexor without compromising anything. Take one more nice deep breath. And then we'll move into the other side. So hands down, just carefully, again, watching the transitions. We don't want to feel too dizzy or lightheaded. In fact, dizziness, extreme dizziness, is definitely a sign to stop the workout. So just be aware of that. So sinking down into your hip flexor stretch, hands can be up, they can be supported on something, or they can be down on the ground. Yoga blocks are good too for this move, but hip flexors are really important to stay nice and loose during pregnancy. Stretching out the hips is going to ultimately help keep your back from having as much pain. It's going to help with your posture and alignment to keep really nice and balanced with the stretching and the strengthening throughout pregnancy. All right, come on down. We're going to end with a nice mermaid stretch here. So one leg out in front. My shin is parallel to the front of my yoga mat, and my backside is parallel to the short edge of my yoga mat. In this position, just stay nice and tall and lifted. Great hip stretch. And then if you'd like to add a little side body stretch, feels really, really nice. Just stretch out the sides of your waist. One more time each side. Prenatal yoga is a wonderful thing for women throughout pregnancy. I know I did prenatal yoga and I was so happy that I did. Go ahead and switch sides. Might be a nice thing to consider if you haven't already started that. All right, sit up nice and tall on the other side, stretching out the hips. If you want more, inhale your arm up and then side bend. Trying to keep your sitting bones grounded as you bring your arms up and overhead, breathing. And our last hip stretch that we'll do is just a seated hamstring stretch. And we're going to keep it really simple and just do a figure 4. So in this position, I have my left leg, the foot is on my inner thigh. And I'm going to have you sit up nice and tall. And actually, this might be enough right here. You can also grab a yoga strap and place it around the front of your foot. Or if you want more, you can inhale and then exhale, stretch forward. Sink into it. Trying to hinge at your hips and feeling the stretch in the back of the legs. The more you can stretch gently like this and keep moving, the better it's going to be for swelling. And it's also going to give you so much of an easier labor and delivery. I credit walking and my prenatal yoga and moving to having a really easy birth. And I know it's not a guarantee, but anything that we can do to help improve our odds is really great. So go ahead and come on up and switch to the other side. Inhale nice and tall and exhale, fold forward. Again, a strap around your foot can be really, really helpful if you have one. Doesn't need to be a fancy yoga strap. You can just use a belt or whatever you have on hand. And after this, what we're going to do is actually stand up. If you have the energy, you can join me. If you're just exhausted during this first trimester and you today don't have the energy to join me for some walking in place, then you can just sit and relax and watch as I share some tips and just basic information about prenatal fitness. But if you are wanting a little bit more, I invite you to go ahead and stand up and join me as we walk and talk. All right, let's go ahead and just march in place, and we're just gonna walk and talk. It's really great to get your heart rate going, to get your heart rate up gently. Of course, we don't wanna push anything too much during pregnancy, but the more you can keep your cardiovascular fitness up, the better it's gonna be for baby and for you to help prevent excessive weight gain. Of course, you want to be gaining weight during pregnancy, but you don't wanna gain too much. You don't wanna get to the point where your body is just not functioning as well. So cardiovascular exercise and walking is really, really important for your general health and the baby's health throughout pregnancy. I have my notes here simply because I didn't want to miss any of the warning signs to look for in prenatal fitness programs. So go ahead and maybe change it up, maybe a wide stepping to the side. You can really bring your knees high. If you're listening to me right now and you want more of a workout, bring those knees up and really get going here. You can even hop a little bit side to side if that's not too much on your pelvic floor. But I'm going to go ahead and share some warning signs for prenatal fitness. I don't want to miss one. That's why I have my notes. So vaginal bleeding, obviously that's a big warning sign to stop what you're doing. Regular painful contractions. Now a little bit of round ligament pain is different. You may experience that especially farther along in your pregnancy. But if you're having extreme contractions, especially early on, that's definitely a warning sign that you need to stop your fitness program at that minute and just, push pause, take a break, and contact your doctor if it's serious. If you have leakage of your amniotic fluid, that's a problem. Now, I will say that sometimes in pregnancy, that's the first time women ever experience bladder leakage and incontinence. So that's different. But if you experience leakage that's concerning of any sort and you're not sure, let's widen our legs. If you're not sure if it is amniotic fluid or urine, you'll need to contact your doctor to make sure everything's okay. Another thing is extreme dyspnea or any type of breathing impairment that's problematic. Like I said, there will be potentially a little bit of lightheadedness or some shortness of breath, especially early on in pregnancy as your body's getting used to all these physiological changes. And then later in pregnancy, as the baby grows and is pressing on your organs and taking up space for your lungs, there will be that, and that a little bit of that is normal. But if it's enough that it's scary and you can't breathe, then that's a problem and something you need to stop your fitness program and just back off. Another thing is dizziness, headache, chest pain, muscle weakness that affects your balance to the point that you can't keep your balance during workouts. So that's why you may need to have something nearby, because as you keep walking, as your baby grows, your posture will potentially get thrown off. I mean, no matter what, even if you're very aware of good posture, your center of gravity changes when you have a baby growing out in front of you. So that will affect your balance. And so just be really careful and have a support surface nearby when you're working out or anytime you're doing something that's going to challenge your balance. Then the last thing to really watch out for is if you have calf pain and swelling, redness and tenderness, especially if it's just on one leg, that's definitely something to look out for. Deep vein thrombosis is something that can happen during pregnancy, and it's just something to really be aware of. So, continuing with our walking. So those are all the warning signs, but it's just not to scare you, because the thing is that fitness throughout pregnancy is really, really good. It's a very good thing. It can potentially make your labor and delivery easier, and it can help you get back into, functional shape after baby, because you're gonna need to do a lot of physical work with your new baby. So it's important to be strong throughout the pregnancy so that you can be strong when you have a new little one. So with that being said, during pregnancy, focusing on strengtheners and moves that you're gonna need when you have a new baby and you're having to carry baby all day and all of that is really important. It's also important to think about, like I said, that physical fitness and getting your heart rate up and moving your body for about 20 to 40 minutes each day is really, really good. You want, on a scale of the rate of perceived exertion scale, where 10 is super, super crazy high, 0 is no exertion at all, you want to be around 3 to 4. So you don't want to be working out super hard, but you also want to get your heart rate up. One way to think of this is the talk test. So right now I'm okay because I can talk to you. But if I was working out so hard that I couldn't talk to you anymore, that would be too much. So you want to be able to pass the talk test on your workouts. So 20 to 40 minutes. And if you ever need to break up your 20 to 40 minutes into a couple of chunks, that's totally okay. The last thing I wanted to share is that you want to be, of course, eating more as you're gaining and growing baby inside of you, but it doesn't need to be a huge amount more. The recommendations are actually only about 300 extra calories per day. So that's not a whole lot. And ultimately, it's enough that it's going to nourish you and your baby, but it's not so much that it's going to cause excessive weight gain. So we don't need to worry about vanity. We're not going for any of that stuff. It's all about your health and the health of the baby. So those are just some tips to keep in mind. Let's go ahead and finish our walk. Finish our walk and talk. Stretch it out. A quick little hamstring stretch. Nothing too crazy. And I hope that this has helped you. Like I said, I will have a second and third trimester fitness video coming to my channel next week. So if you're watching this now, wait a week. If you're watching this in the future, that video is probably already posted and I'll put a link to it in the video notes. So thank you so much for watching. I'm super excited for you as you move through your pregnancy, and I hope that this has been helpful for you. Until next time, remember, eat clean, move every day, and you will shine brighter. See you next time.